Well, the Fire and Fury author is also speaking out about his extraordinary access to the White House this morning. He was asked how he was allowed to apparently roam around so freely.
Why the hell did they let you just float around the White House in the first place?
Did they?
Yeah, effectively. A total disorganization, number one. Number two, this idea of a book. Mm-hmm. So I'd say, I'm doing a book. They would say, oh, a book. Mm-hmm. And then they would say, well, when does this book come out? And I would say, sometime next year. And they would say, oh, geez. You know, and for this White House that lives minute by minute, next year was an eternity away. And then the other thing is the White House, this White House is so factionalized that if Steve Bannon was seeing me, that meant that Kushner had to see me. Right. So it was essentially a daily act of triangulation.
Michael Wolff there. Well, let's dive into all of this. Joining me now is Errol Lewis, CNN political commentator and political anchor for Spectrum News. Alice Stewart, CNN political commentator and Republican strategist, and CNN Money senior correspondent and host of Reliable Sources, Brian Stelter. He will be joining us now. First of all, I want to start with Errol. This book raises a lot of questions about the president's mental health, and according to the author, everyone around the president in the White House is treating him like a child. What did you make of the allegations in this book?
Well, the allegations are the most serious part of this, Lynda. The reality is the Trump partisans, of course, don't want anybody to talk about all of this. But think about what a position it puts somebody like a Michael Wolff in, or frankly, any of the other reporters who cover the White House. If it is part of the daily conversation of the aides around the president that he might not be ready for the job, that he might not be fit for office, that he might not be emotionally and mentally capable of fulfilling the functions, it would be malpractice by any author or reporter to cover that up. So, I mean, I think that's the most startling part of all of this. Not that Michael Wolff doesn't like the president. Clearly he doesn't. Not that the media is being tough on the president. Clearly they are. I think that's part of the job. But the fact that everybody around him, the people that he has hired, say that this guy may not be up to this job, that's an important piece of information for people to recognize. And it doesn't nullify the election, and it doesn't lead to impeachment or anything else, but it is important for the public to realize that that's what's being talked about at the highest level of government.
Oprah Winfrey is actively thinking about running for president. That's according to sources close to the media mogul speaking to CNN. Now, Winfrey's powerful speech at the Golden Globes last night sparked widespread calls for a 2020 bid. Now, she fired up the room with her declaration that a new day is on the way for women. Let's take a listen.
What I know for sure is that speaking your truth is the most powerful tool we all have. And I'm especially proud and inspired by all the women who have felt strong enough and empowered enough to speak up and share their personal stories. Each of us in this room are celebrated because of the stories that we tell. And this year, we became the story. But it's not just a story affecting the entertainment industry. It's one that transcends any culture, geography, race, religion, politics, or workplace. So I want all the girls watching here and now to know that a new day is on the horizon. And when that new day finally dawns, it will be because of a lot of magnificent women, many of whom are right here in this room tonight, and some pretty phenomenal men fighting hard to make sure that they become the leaders who take us to the time when nobody ever has to say, "Me too," again.
No doubt there, the speech of the night. Errol Lewis, to you, can you see Oprah Winfrey running in the 2020 election? Two people close to Oprah have said she is actively thinking about it.
Well, it's intriguing that she's actively thinking about it. That gives us all permission now to sort of speculate about what she will or won't be able to do, what her chances might be. I don't know that her chances are particularly good, I must tell you. I mean, every president, or many presidents, are a reaction to the president who came before them. To the extent that there's going to be a reaction against Donald Trump, and that's what any Democrat or any person challenging him would have to assume, there's a couple of different things. There's the policies of the president. There's his personal style, the vulgarity and some of the childishness that comes with the way he uses Twitter and other social media. But then there's also just the fact that he doesn't have any government experience. And so I strongly suspect that some of the reaction to Donald Trump, which is what any challenger would have to rely on, is going to be against the fact that he doesn't have any government experience, and neither does Oprah. So I don't know if she's the perfect antidote, politically speaking, to a Donald Trump.
And on that point, to you, Alice, this would be another billionaire running for office, another media mogul, another celebrity.
Sure, it worked for Donald Trump, and it remains to be seen if it will work for Oprah. Look, if she was thinking of running for president and her speech last night was a trial balloon, Linda, it went off with flying colors. I think she hit on the right messages of the day, speaking specifically about empowering women, standing up to sexual harassment in the workplace. And she also took a soft jab at Donald Trump and his war with the press, and her saying that she stands with the press and she supports truth to power. And she got a tremendous round of applause for that. I think the key will be, if she decides moving forward, she clearly can inspire people. She clearly can motivate people. But when it comes down to it, she has to start fleshing out policies and where she stands on the issues. And most importantly, is she ready to take the ultimate test of running for president and going to the state of Iowa and going to the state fair and eating a pork chop on a stick, which is a rite of passage here in America. So I think certainly it was inspiring, a lot to be said for her taking this leap, and it'll be exciting really to watch.
And Alice, on that point, I want to go back to Errol on this. Like, there is a lot of scrutiny that comes with this office, and just today, obviously, there's a lot of questions about the current president's mental state and whether he's fit for office. You have to wonder whether Oprah would want that.
That's exactly right. Is she ready to disclose her financial life, to have her records and her investments picked over? What has she bought? What does she own? Where does she live? I don't know if she's ready for that. She's been a talker for the last 30 years. She's been on talk shows where crazy things get said. We don't know what she has said. I suspect there's a team of people, as we speak, going back through hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of interviews that she's done to try and find out what she has said, what she believes, what's contradictory, what's questionable, what will cause her problems if she should step into the political arena. And then finally, look, she's stepping into a nation that is closely divided. And the minute, just as Alice says, she starts announcing a policy, what she wants to do about, say, immigration, what she wants to do, say, about the economy, she's going to find about 48 to 50% of the country who violently disagrees with her. And that is not the Oprah brand. Oprah's brand is bringing people together around what we can all agree on. Unfortunately, there's very little terrain left that matters that we can all agree on. And that's going to be her most crucial test, whether or not she's ready to go out there and say, I disagree with you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, no doubt there is a lot of negativity that comes with the highest job in the United States. Alice, right now there are a lot of people questioning whether President Trump should have a mental health test. Currently, we know presidents have a regular fitness test. Do you think that a mental health test is required?
Look, I think he should show his tax returns. There are a lot of things about him that we don't know. I think that would be helpful for Americans to know. But look, everyone, I'm sure, will agree at some time that President Trump has been irrational, he's been impulsive, he's clearly been insulting. But it is extremely inappropriate, in my view, for the people that have come to the level they have to question his mental stability. I just think it's completely wrong. And they have been smart to push back on a lot of this, but no armchair psychiatrist should be coming out from afar and saying that the president is unfit to serve office. And I think this book has done a terrible job with putting a focus on something like that and adding to the palace intrigue. And I think talk like that certainly needs to stop. They do say he will be having a physical fitness, whether or not any mental aspect will be done with that. But I think it is just really inappropriate to question his fitness for office. Look, the actions and activity and the demeanor he has now is exactly the way he carried himself on the campaign and exactly how he ran his businesses. He was elected president of the United States. I don't like a lot of what he says and does. I agree with his policies, but we can't just all of a sudden wake up now and say, why is he acting like this? Because he is 71 years old. The way he is now is the way he's been for decades.
Hasn't changed. All right, Alice Stewart, Errol Lewis, good to have you both with us. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Lynda.
Thank you, Lynda.